Good morning. All and of course the dehumidifier kicks on, so it's all good. Yeah, good morning. Welcome to Mid Morning Medium Chat with Adam the Black Swamp Medium. Thank you for being here on this Saturday the 29th. Only a couple days left before we jump into July, which is, summer's. Ticking along. Hey Jason, what's going on? Um interesting enough, and I know we don't have a lot of people on, but that's okay. Hey Debbie, good morning. Yes. Uh Literally as the hey Kate, good morning, as the show was counting down. So I always try to put a 30-second, well, it's a built-in thing in the streamer, and has 30-second countdown. So the countdown's happening, and I was taking a sip of coffee, and I looked back up at the screen, just watching the timer, click down on it, and I see something flying in front of me. So I'm like, it's a piece of dust or something. And then realizing it wasn't a piece of dust. Hey Amber, good morning. I have no idea if it's even going to come up on camera or not, but I'm going to try. Well, here, let's see. Maybe over now. I don't know. Let me see. I can't see. Well, you kind of see it at the tip of my thumb there. Sorry, I'm up so close I can't help but move a little bit, but you can kind of see right there at right at the top of my thumb is a feather. So those that have been following me for years, this is how I get my messages, that they're tiny. I don't get the big classic feathers that you would see, like say off of a bird or something. This is how they show up to me, is in very small form, because I'm aware. That's the best way to put it. So they know I don't need to have it literally a big white feather just plop right on top of my keyboard. So it was weird, because as soon as I saw it, I was like, I was trying to blow it away, and I'm like, what the heck? And then I realized, I'm like, oh no, I know what that is. And I'm like, oh, thank you. So might be a good omen. I mean, they typically only, show up for me, to send me lots of love and light, which I do appreciate, and, love that from them. And these are those quick little things. So even something this small, that, I mean, I'm holding on to it. And, but I guarantee when I put this down, it's going to be gone, because they always take them. So they let me see it. They let me kind of feel out the vibe of what the messages, which is typically love. And then they grab it, and then they take off. So I'm going to put it down. And yep, there it goes. Yeah, and so it was so that was kind of a cool thing. I mean, here it is, that the show's lightning and lighting up, and I'm getting a little message before the show. So hey, I am feeling pretty good today. Week wasn't bad. It's had a couple little things going on at work that kind of get the anxiety going, because of like, okay, we got to figure this out, we got to do that and this. And hey Doug, good morning, man. So that was one of the challenges every week, and then hopefully with next week being the holiday, the 4th of July on Thursday, hopefully in theory we should have a relatively quiet month. Hey Candace, good morning, thank you. And so yeah, I'm hoping to we're going to slow down. We can kind of get caught up on some things that we've had outstanding for a while. So hopefully not too much stress next week. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed on that. Hey Margaret, good morning. Let's see. My dad was saying it was the tsetse fly. Yeah, right. Yeah, Debbie. Well, remember, see, this is, I always try to remind people. So remember, the backgrounds typically revolve around something either I've talked about or posted about, or it relates to the topic. So always keep that in the back of your mind. So that's why the backgrounds change constantly, as they're reflecting something that's going on, or related to something. So there's a reason for this. And so maybe you'll pick up on it later. We'll see. Oh geez, Dad, how can I have love and light when I'm working in the dark? It's not dark. I mean, I got all kinds of lights going on in front of me, so it ain't dark in here. Maybe, it's definitely rainy and cloudy outside. So, I mean, we're kind of in that, but, I got you from the movie Dragon Slayer, right? I haven't seen that in forever. Holy smokes. But yeah, no, so hopefully everybody's having a good week. I'm sure other than obviously we've had some major thunderstorms and storms in general this week on and off, but I think everybody might agree, obviously those of us in uh at least Ohio and Michigan, who are watching that uh we're enjoying the cool down, so to speak, because obviously, we were cooking there for a little while, a little earlier than normal. Typically we get into the, July to uh August, where it's more the brutal, where we expect those 90s easily. But yeah, right now it's kind of a nice chill. It was, you know, didn't feel like you were sweating as much, so Amber, hope you figure out how to get these stars. What did I miss? Or did I say something and I just not real catching it? What did I miss? You'll have to, Amber, you're gonna help me. See, that's what the problem is when I do these. Like sometimes I'm like I'm running in one direction and then I'm thinking of the next thing on the other side. So like my my brain, for once is like, chaotic. Not that it is all the time. I do have to calm it down once in a while, which I do. Um, but yeah, Candace, happy 4th of July. Um, let's see, can't cook outside today without an umbrella. Well, I mean, you could certainly put up a pop-up tent or something, and just, get that little awning over you and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I mean, I think everybody has at some point, I mean, I've cooked out on the grill, when sprinkling. So it's, not bad, but just a little bit. Oh, I got you, Amber. See, there you go. There you go. I said that just didn't dawn on me. Problem is okay, on my StreamYard browser here, I can't see what's going on at all. So because it's not, so all this stuff is, central here, and then it feeds over to Facebook. So I don't see it. Now your comments will tell me where it's coming from. So because I do to Facebook and my YouTube page, I can see under your pictures on my screen, it'll say, Facebook, the F, or YouTube, it'll have the logo of the classic YouTube logo. So so I can't see if you guys are doing anything. So if you have, I appreciate that like no other. Thank you so much. Um, but and that's right, Candace. Weren't was it yesterday? I think I saw you posting about the dueling lawnmowers. Oh, yeah, see, look at that. I should finish reading your comment. That's my thing. I should have done that first. See, I just saw your name and I saw 2 tenths, and then I looked back up at the screen so I could look at the camera. And I should have read further that I'm like, I thought you were having some big party. So there you go. So yeah, that'll be exciting. Big neighborhood party. Yeah, that's cool. Drying out soon. 82 today, 68 tomorrow. Woo. Yeah, that's a big change though. So it's interesting. I tell you what though, that's just on like that mistake of me. It is actually amazing that how much I've noticed that. I mean, of course, for me, but what I notice, especially for my job now that I'm a manager, there's a lot more things I have to oversee, and it's amazing how you when you read too quickly or you're only picking words out that you see that just like highlight, even though it's not, the little details that are the most important are the ones you overlook. And then it causes a big chaos moment because I've seen it so many times that I see when we're sending emails like at work and I've got to get information and stuff like that. And hey, Michelle, good morning. It is amazing that when something's missed and then you feel bad because you have to like correct them in a most positive way you can. You're not being mean or angry, but it's interesting that you have to say, hey, they're like, well, where's this? What's this? And I'm like, did you read it? Because it's right there. So, you know, it is interesting that because of the fact that we are so fast-paced society, we're always going to the next thing. We're missing so much. And that's the whole point of like where I tell everybody, when you go outside and if you are going to go to, do a walk or something, slow it down a half a bit. Unless you're truly exercising and you're getting those steps in, you're trying to get that heart rate up, completely different situation. But if you're just out for a stroll and just wanting to get out, walking around the neighborhood or going to a park, slow down half of what you normally do and just see what happens. And it just goes like this in business, in any of our jobs, we got to slow down. I mean, because there's just sometimes you miss something and it's like, woo, and then you kind of feel bad about that, it's like, and I have to call it out all the time. I mean, yesterday I had to call things out at work that were like people missed it. And I'm like, and granted, that's the good thing is I'm not like, some angry boss, I'm not, I'm not going to be raising my voice. I've never have. I mean, stern voice, when things are really serious and mistakes are happening a little too much, of course. Hey, Tina. But yeah, it's just one of those things that, got to call it out. You have to be straightforward about it. And, as much as you want to sugarcoat it, but you can't, let's see. Let me go back up real quick because I know I missed a few. Amber, or let's see. Candace was saying, "Oh, Amber, men and mowers draw attention." Well, I mean, Candace, I'll flip it. I'm gonna say, couple women on some lawnmowers, man. I'm telling you, See, I'll twist it. uh, my dad, I think his brain is out to lunch. Well, hopefully it's not. Um, let's see. And then I think I missed what was it? Oh, Margaret, great granddaughters. There's two days. Oh, happy birthday to your great granddaughter. Okay, for Margaret. Debbie's saying it's supposed to be 100 on the mainland today and 80s out on the island. That's why everyone comes here, right? To get a little bit of a break in the weather. I get that. Let's see, Michelle, whatever. We know you're cracking the whip or pitchfork. Well, Michelle, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you guys aren't there, so you really can't see it. So, and there's nobody from the team on here that can, refute what I say. So what I say goes, No, I mean, I think it's just like anything. I think, I think we all know we've all been around managers that have done that. They have literally cracked the whip and it's like, what is your deal? Like, you make us want to hate your guts like completely. You know what I mean? You can't, Dad. You're not there. There is no refuting from you. But well, at least you don't wear a Prada. Well, true. But yeah, no, I mean, I've always, when you see good managers or like me that, obviously my dad can back me on something for, a change. We you, big military, buffs, we're really into military history. And so, hey, Dennis, what's happening, man? We we've where you see the movies and then catch documentaries and then you see like where the good leadership comes from, especially like I said with the military stuff that we used to watch. And so you can see when a good leader is, and then you can it's not a you still have to have that authority style thing. Hey, Tom, good morning. You still have to have the authority. But at the same time, you got to have, some compassion, for the people that are underneath you, I mean, because they're doing the work, you know what I mean? And here, like now for me is like, I just got to make sure everybody stays together. Everybody's doing the right thing. And, we make mistakes. We make sure we correct them and stuff. So it's just, the epitome of what a manager's supposed to be doing. Plus knowing how to do it. Like yesterday, I was back in the field. I was helping one of my techs out and we were installing a repaired projector, and so it was like old times, we were getting things done. And so, it's, one of those things, but like in that situation, there's nothing, I'm not above anything at that point. We're equal, and so we work together because that's the point, you have to. So it's neat to, have I still don't have a problem going back out in the field and helping out, give the guys a chance to breathe, or if they can't get to something, we got to get something done. So, it's good that I keep some of my skills fresh too, but, let's see. Kate says, I can't stand being micro. Yeah. And that's a tough one because that you can see that. And I've had those managers, hopefully not everybody has, but you'll know it if you do, because Man, micromanagers. Woo. And that's always been a thing, um, getting back into this, getting, because I mean, I had a supervisor role, so it wasn't quite labeled as manager, but it was a supervisor. So even now that I stepped up even further into management role, it's just one of those things that you see how it doesn't work and how it is a true issue for the people that are working underneath you. You're putting too much stress on them, which causes delays and stuff. So it's just one of those things. So I try to balance as best I can to make sure that I'm not walked over. I can't let that happen either. I still have to the ultimate say in most decisions and things. So, but it is what it is. Let's see. uh yeah, Debbie or Michelle saying always holding out. Debbie, my dad called a merce for a man. Right. um Margaret saying you're the best kind of manager that are you're in a working manager, right? Well, yeah, and you have to. I mean, especially my field, being conference rooms, conference room AV equipment. Yeah, you have to. So yeah, miss you too, Dennis. Amber, no such thing as a mistake, just a little new opportunity to try again. I agree. I agree. And then my dad says, but how many times does it take to get it correct? Well, that's just the thing is, if you've been through something similar or exactly, then you kind of, know when, it can, you know, be corrected sooner rather than later. So you don't have to, hey, Chris, what's happening? So you don't have to do it so many times until you do get it right. Um, and that's just the thing is like I had something at the beginning of the week that I it's existed, but it's the first time it's existed under me being, the manager now. So it's I learned a couple things off of it because I didn't have any other information to help me. So, you go with what you know, and then they're like, nope, that's not how it works. Oh, okay. And I'm like, well, I apologize. I said I've only been, under this for a while. So I, haven't been, made aware of this. And so they're like, oh yeah, no problem. You got any other questions? Let us know. And it was it. So luckily the other people were super nice too. They weren't mean about it and stuff. But yeah, it works out. So it's just the thing. You learn, you add it to the list and then you keep going. So um but yeah, so yeah, like I said, so it's been nice to have that weather change. Let's see, Amber says everything is a learning. I mean, well, I've said that for everything. I mean, if we stop learning, um now, whatever does I don't care what age you are, if you're stopped learning, it's like you're begging for it to be over. And that's not cool either. We need to be constantly, learning things, I mean, even if it's just going back to like looking up documentaries on science stuff, history stuff. I mean, just keeping your brain moving instead of just being stagnant. That's important. Reading books and watch, even watching movies. I mean, just to keep yourself, occupied more. Doesn't mean you can't, go silent for a while. We need that too. You know what I mean? um, yeah, I know, Dad. I know your learning is on a pause because that's just how you roll. Amber says, I learned a lesson not to let Jason get creative in the kitchen. Well, I mean, you know what though? I mean, if he's got an idea and he thinks he's got a flavor in mind and he mixes it together and it doesn't work out, at least he won't do it again. Or at least you would hope he wouldn't do the same thing again. So I get it. Tom says, we are here to learn. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm tapping out errands to run. Okay, Doug, you have a good one. Have a great weekend, man. Stay dry out there because I know, the rain's all over the place for all of us. So yeah, stay dry, buddy. But yeah, no, it's Sloppy Joe Pizza. Wow, that's an interesting one. I mean, obviously, it's not something that's popular. It's not something we all hear. I mean, you would, man, if you pick that up, if you pick a slice up, that's got to be tough. Like that's the, tacos are, or excuse me, pizza, slice. It's supposed to stay together for the most part when you eat those. So I can't imagine a sloppy Joe pizza would be like, it just you pick it up, everything falls off. So I mean, so it would have to be one of those knife and fork deals eating a pizza slice. So I mean, I get it. I mean, so there are so many different concoctions of things nowadays. So I mean, You got to try it. So, and then, I- obviously, I'm sure when you say what you say, I'm assuming it wasn't a great, a great, yes, we're going to put this in the rotation of things to eat moving forward. But I, I'm sure it's going to be one of those. It's like, well, we thought of it, we tried it. Yeah, it's not too good. Dennis, we are hosting a speaking event next Saturday at noon at the Haunted Collection at the King Road Library. That's here until, and that's in Toledo, Ohio. Um, uh, at the King Road Library. Cool. All right. Well, hopefully that works out for you. Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, next weekend's. I mean, technically we've just gotten over the 4th and stuff, but Saturday at noon. Okay, man. Well, have fun with that. Yeah, you've got a growing collection of haunted objects and artifacts and things, and so I know you have aspirations of starting a museum to showcase that. So that's always exciting, to see all those kind of neat things. So yeah, that's awesome, man. I know. I know. Oh, I wish you best of luck next weekend. And you enjoy sharing everything, and so you're good at it. You love, your passion for it is awesome. So good for you, buddy. Veronica, good morning. Let's see, Dad. How about a sloppy Joe taco or a burrito? Sloppy Joe taco or a burrito? Well, actually, interesting enough, Dad. I have done. I'm trying to remember. I think I did do that once. I think I did put, like, had, left a little bit of leftover sloppy Joe, and I think I did that in a pita wrap, I think I did do that once. Now that I think about it, because I know there's been a couple times where it's like, well, it's not really, changing anything. You're really not creating anything. It's just a different way of, you don't have any more buns. And, to me, I mean, your sloppy Joes, if you're a fan of that, you like a bun. So you're not really going to go for a couple slices of bread. I don't know if all that bread's going to hold up well, depending on how much you loaded. So at least the buns feel a little bit sturdier. But if you have, like, a soft shell or pita type of wrap, that you can, it'll hold together, it's not a bad thing. So, but yeah, that's interesting. Dennis said we're going to show evidence and show some of the items. That's cool, man. Yeah, I know. Well, you've always done that, so yeah, that's cool. I must have missed that. I know the algorithm kills me. I know there's a lot of things that I miss all the time, and it's weird because then when I hear something, I'm like, I didn't know about that, but it's the algorithm stuff that kills me. I was just talking to somebody yesterday or the day before. I'm like, hey, Jamie, there's so many times I miss it. So it's like, it's weird because then, in fact, 2 days ago, I was catching somebody's Happy Father's Day messages that they finally hit my wall. And I'm like, how many weeks ago was this? I'm like, the algorithm is terrible, man. Cause like I said, Father's Day, Happy Father's Day stuff from like I saw 2 days ago. So I'm sure I'm not the only one that noticed those things, because it's like, that's why it's always important, because, like, the people that you follow, whether it's personal or businesses pages, you gotta, do the emojis, or you gotta put comments on them occasionally if you want them to stay relatively in your feed, if that's what you desire. Obviously, we all have, tons and tons of friends and other, businesses and pages, and all that stuff pops up there. So it's just a battle as it is. So, no matter what you do, it's always going to be like, but you almost have to look them up, to then be like, oh man, okay. And then you got to start trying to click on their things more often, so that way they start getting added to the feed again, say Jamie saying, same man, it's crazy. I know. Like I said, I mean, if you don't see me liking or commenting on something, I mean, I'm trying to do better. I know most of the time I'm just an emoji guy where I'll just put that in there, but I'm trying to get better at, sharing, saying something, in the comment sections on people's posts. And if you don't see me by chance and you're like, wow, he's such a jerk, he's not following my stuff, like, maybe I should unfollow him. And it's like, come sit with me. I will scroll through my wall. Let's see how much your stuff pops up. So that's what kills me. I mean, I could, if I got time and I'm searching and searching and searching and just going through the wall, sometimes it's just the same people all the time, but then nobody else. And it's like, so, it is what it is. But um, let's see. Dennis said, I just received a piece of Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment. Yeah, I know you've been getting a few things recently. Jamie, I remember when you could set it up to see the most recent post instead of seeing stuff from 2 or 3 weeks ago. Absolutely. I remember that too. Amber says, when social media becomes a full-time job, I know it is, well, that's the thing, I understand, I mean, I appreciated the fact that if you posted something, it stayed in the timeline. So when you scrolled, I mean, you were seeing everything that was within the hours, and I mean, you never really noticed it, but that's what was happening. And now that they just take the best ones or the ones that um, put emojis or comments to more, then get top priority. And then everybody else that, may not be posting, like some of you that are friends with me on my personal page, I don't post that often. I don't always have things that I need to share or want to share. And so sometimes I do, sometimes, and then a lot of times I don't. So I know that for a lot of my stuff, a lot of you are not going to see my stuff popping up on your feeds, because I guarantee you're, again, liking and sharing and stuff on those others. So I know I'm way down on the list. And obviously if I did it all the time, people would, hit me, comment or whatever back more. So, but yeah, it's wild, man. So, yeah, no, so yeah, but hopefully you're all doing well. But I did want to segue, into it, because I wanted to take some time. And you probably all, I don't know if anybody, I know sometimes when you see the topic up, when I post it, I know sometimes it makes sense and other times it's like, what? And so I was wondering if everybody understood without, because if you click on the actual reminder, when I post the show, I then try to have it in the description, like something like today where it says fakes. I tried to have it in there to where I explained it a little bit more. So I don't know if anybody ever thinks of that. Because sometimes I do try to, I mean, I use the same format that I've been using forever on in the description of when I post shows. And then I usually just add a little bit down below. Sometimes I have important things. So I'll put that in there as, hey, I'm going to highlight these usually in that first half hour. And then at the very bottom of the description, I usually have like, okay, here's the topic. And then here's a little bit more to explain what it is. But yeah, I wanted to bring it up because I've been seeing it coming up more and more. And so I thought it would be interesting. And this is, in a way, it's almost sticking my neck out there a little bit. Because it could easily get, come back to haunt me too. But I'm okay with that, but I think it's important. I think it's truly important. But the whole title or topic is fakes. And what it basically comes down to is, and hold that thought. That was the dramatic, pause before I say, the real thing. So, hey, that's why I have the power right now. It's just kind of trying to get people more aware of the fraudsters, or the egomaniacs that are out there that are in the holistic and metaphysical worlds. You mostly see it psychics, mediums, and psychic mediums. And so it was a poignant pause. Did you like that? I would have done it better, but I didn't want to, drag it out too much. You're not supposed to have dead air, right, Dennis? But the, it is right. Amber. Hey, Ron, what's happened? So dramatic. Thank you, Amber. Hey, yeah, I think I said, hey, what's up, Ron? But yeah, no, I mean, there is, hey, Della. No, you're good. I know that we've had some storm. We've had mostly rain so far today, so it's not been on and off. But there's supposed to be some more decent storms later on for us here. So, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of bring it up and just kind of highlight it a little bit more that, we all know, the so-called, wannabes that are out there, that they're truly in it for 100% money. It's unfortunate because a lot of us that are very passionate about this and Well, some of us, this is, in a way, and I hate to say it like this, but it's like a full-time job. However, when I say job, it's just that's what they're passionate about. And obviously they are making money for their time, which is okay. And so, well, Deli, that's what I'm actually just starting to scratch the surface. So basically, what I'm trying to bring up is, making everybody aware of, the people that are, hey, Dessa, that are fakes, where they truly are fake. Like they have no ability. They're just there to take advantage of people like you. And it's, yeah, I see Dennis, but the demon. Well, yeah, we know that too. Everything's demon nowadays. Yeah, if it was so much demon, imagine what the word would truly look like if it was all demons out there. Um, but you know, the ones that are truly fake that are literally just, the it's funny was I didn't know the tricks on how to fake readings. I didn't know what they were until I completely got into, opening the mediumship door and practicing readings for people. And I didn't realize until it's like, then I realized without nobody explaining it to me, I realized I'm like, oh, well, that's how you could fake it. And that's how you could, which a lot of it is, you know, anybody that is true to doing readings, you know, there is the classic messages that do happen, and they may seem like they're feeding or trying to pull information from you so that way they can be like, oh well, guess this or look what that. And um there is always going to be the messages from your loved ones of hello and I love you and things like that. That's human nature. Even on the other side, there's still that interactions, that common courtesy of, hey, how you doing? They're still going to have. So if anybody has issues with that, I'm like, sometimes that's what your loved ones or your friends that have passed on, that's just what they want. They just want that basic um communication again. It doesn't mean that they're going to give you the secret word that you both agreed upon, because I've had that come back at me. Well, you didn't get the secret word, so you weren't talking to them. And I'm like, okay. Doesn't matter how many other things that were accurate in the reading, but just because I didn't get like a secret code word, it then it wasn't believable. And it's like, okay. And those are one of the ones that I learned early on that, that's going to happen. And that one I just brush off because it's just like, I just don't care. Um, if you're going to be sitting there saying stuff like that, you've got some other things going on. And I'm not trying to be mean towards anybody, definitely trying not to be negative, but sometimes these things take time, because one of my things that I used to tell people early on in readings is that, when I don't know somebody, like a lot of you I've known for years and years and years. So if I don't know somebody, so let's just say whoever it is, and they sit down for me for the very first time, never met each other, I know nothing about them. And um they want me to reach out to somebody because some of you that have gotten readings from me, I say, hey, do you want somebody specific or do you want somebody to see what's around? Because if you really want somebody, you have to let me know, because it doesn't mean they're going to step up to talk. It's true, happens. Sometimes the person you really want just doesn't. Sometimes they're there, and sometimes you can describe them, but they just don't come forward. So, um, when I meet these on the other side, think about it. If we've never met each other, so are you really going to be that open to just give me all this information like instantly? Don't you think that your loved one is going to want some type of like interaction first, of like feeling at ease that you're the right person to share that information with their living, you know, um, family member or friend or something? So, I've had it. I've had spirits come forward. They just stood there, didn't say a single word, tried for 15, 20 minutes, nothing. I could describe them, was them. The person I was, that asked for the reading, they're like, that's exactly what they look like, but they wouldn't say anything because they weren't ready. And guess what? We'd go back a week later and then they were like ready to go. So, I think that's confusing. And even then, just like me, like I've said many times, that's why I'm still not ready to do the readings again, because if I don't feel like I'm fully ready for it, I could be blocking the messages that are coming in. I may be able to get some visions of them. I might see them, but I may not be able to hear the messages or understand the messages or sense it. So, it's just one of those things. I want to make sure I'm good to go. So that way I give every possible chance to present and get the information. Because again, I don't feel bad anymore. I mean, doing it for so long, if they don't give me enough message or they're not giving me a lot, it's fine. It is what it is. I'm not going to sit there and argue, and I'm not going to sit there and demand them to do anything, because then it really could be a problem. So anyway, I am missing a ton of messages, so I will go back here in just a moment. But the point I was getting at is that, when you're sitting down with somebody and you've never heard who they are, because you should, in theory, always have that. How do you feel about this person? I don't care who they are, men, women. I don't care what readers they are. I don't care what doesn't matter. You've got to get a good feeling from them. So if somebody sits down with me and is all into it, they feel it, like this is good, that helps a ton. And if you don't feel that from me and it's not right, it is no hard feelings. You've got to feel comfortable about it. So your gut instinct is going to tell you, like, if you go to, events that have readers, you could be walking by them and just kind of sense it out. Your gut's going to tell you, is this good for you, or is this person good for you? So keep that in mind, that always listen to yourself first, and if you're not sure, I'd still err on the side of caution and not do it. Don't, get that reading from somebody. And if it means that you don't get a reading that day at all, that just wasn't meant to be. You were meant to be there, but it just wasn't meant for you to have a reading that day. So even then, that's your guides and family members saying, yeah, we're not, it's not that, don't do it. You know what I mean? So first get that when you go to these events or you see these readers, or even then, if they're not doing anything, strike up a quick little conversation. You don't have to give them any details. In fact, we all would prefer you don't. But you could just talk, hey, how you doing? How, you can ask them questions instead of them trying to pull information from you. So get the vibe from them, how long you've been doing this, not that matters. Because even then, some people have been reading for a long time. They just never have done it publicly. So keep that in mind, is that they may only have been reading for, a year. Doesn't mean they're not good at it, so don't be afraid if you find out that they've only been doing a short time and they're not capable. That's not the case. So again, use your gut feeling when you go to these things, or if you see somebody on social media and you're thinking, oh, you know what? I think I'd like a reading from them. Is that the general feeling that you get? Or when you see them, you're like, yeah, kind of feeling sketchy about it. Okay. That's okay too. Let me see. Let me read a few comments real quickly so that way I can keep going. So let me back up a little bit. My dad was saying, I just hate when premonition that your dead gerbil hates you. Right? Yeah. 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 And then when they want money, yeah. The ones that comment on your comment are on a post and ask you to reach out, because Michelle was saying this. The ones that comment on your comment on a post and ask you to reach out because they have a very important message for you, but of course they want payment for that important messages. Dang, Michelle, that was like that was a massive tongue twister. Della, so many are like, drama so fake. Yep, that's the point that I was going to get at. It. Drama is a big one that I was getting to, Della. I came across, she continues to say, I came across one I thought that was my friend, came to me, my son, about 6 months. Got it. Yeah. Michelle saying, we've had a combo about the code word one, though. When we do get it, the code word is pretty freaking cool. Blows my mind when it happens. Absolutely. Oh yeah. So if you really do get it and it pops through, I mean, that's like, but at the same time, then as us as readers, it's not the, we have to keep our stuff in check, because then that's getting into the ego side, which again is part of this drama stuff that, it's great. It came through. Granted, all we did was they gave it to us and we were able to understand it, to then share it. So we didn't really do anything. So it made sense. And it was the right moment for that. Dennis saying, I mean, don't get me wrong. I do own some dark. Oh yeah. So you're talking about your stuff. I get that, buddy. There's certainly mediums I work with, I trust and feel comfortable with. Yep. Absolutely, man. Yep. No problem, Della. We're getting there. Margaret was saying that her husband, has been pretty open with me. We've had three of them over the years. I have some new magazines I can do readings. Yeah, good for you, Dad. Della saying, I love Long Island. I know she's in TV, but I heard she was fake. Let me, well, that's the thing. I hate this because I got to be careful. I've been reading, Dad, you and the reading. Della, always remember, I have nothing bad to say about anybody that's been on TV that's done mediumship type of work. Whether it's been on Paranormal Investigation or whether it's been, like that. There's been some shows that have been more highlighted around a medium doing the work. And TV still, the epitome of these shows are entertainment, because if there's no entertainment factor, you're not going to tune in every week. You tune in. And it goes with any show. You know what I mean? Any type of reality-ish, show. If you are not drawn into it, it's not going to happen. So, is there some things that are set up? Absolutely. Does it mean that they're getting these people and getting all this detailed information and then giving it to her? Probably not. But from what I've heard is that there is understanding on any of those, and not just her, that they do have to talk to the people that are going to get the reading and get that it all established, because even then, those people that have their faces completely like that, you can see them clearly. That means they signed their name saying, yes, this can happen. And yes, you can have my name and my likeness on TV. So there's a lot of stuff that does have to happen in those. So there is some setup, and obviously there is moments where, that any of them, they're hitting on some information, but there's stuff. And, I wouldn't be surprised, because I'm sure there's probably a lot of cut footage that I bet you in this instance, I bet she's had some that have never shown the light of day because nothing was happening. It happens. Like I said, it definitely happens. So, it's just one of those things. Yeah. So she was saying, I think some are like, I like to say Hollywood. Well, right. And that's the thing, is some of them, all of them that have gotten to that point, they do mediumship, like I said, there's several of them that are on TV, and they have, they definitely work their tail to get to that point. You know what I mean? And so that's great. And then obviously, again, they've got to be able to keep the show running. So because if you think about it, they can't show a bunch of, readings that just didn't work out. You're going to be like, well, this isn't entertaining. You want those moments of where they're highlighting things of what they're getting messages for those people. So, that's why it's like, that's one of those things. We're not going to see the bad stuff. We're going to cut all that out, let's see. And it's, not sure. And Debbie was saying, I'm not sure. Wait a minute. Michelle saying, I saw her in person in a gallery. She had some amazing specific evidence. Yep. And Debbie says, not sure if she's fake, but very unprofessional and unethical, walking up to strangers. Well, that's the thing, Debbie. From, like I said, my understanding is that technically it's a little staged on the walk up. Because now, don't get me wrong, there is plenty of mediums that have done that. They just can't get away from the urge to do that. I will not do that unless I know the person. And even then, I still scratch my head going, I'm going to hold it until there's a moment where this is more appropriate to share with them. Because it is, you don't know what that person's mood is at the time. And so if I was to go up to a stranger, which, like I said, I've had that a few times where I'm like, I'm getting some information and it's like, I got to bite my lip, because it's just like, that's just not right. It is in a way unprofessional to just bother somebody, and yeah, it stinks that, maybe this would be an important message for that person, but at the same time, you gotta be professional about it as best you can. And again, not knowing what their mood is like, this might be something that just recently happened, and this is the reason why they're coming for, which, yes, they may want that information, but at the same time, they may not even believe in this stuff. So that's the gamble. And that's why it's like the egos and drama is, I don't go up to people in public and say, "I do this." You know what I mean? That starts to, you know, damage you in a way. Because if you're sitting there like, "I can do this," and it's just like, "Well, I don't wanna be around you." Exactly. Um, there's ways to do it. Sometimes, like, when I have brought what I do, it usually comes up because it gets to the point of like, well, what do you do for hobbies? Or what do you do in your and it's always that I always have to sit there and like lean over and I kind of have to smile. I'm like, well, I said, I don't know if you're into this. And I said, I'm just gonna be honest. I said, this is what I do. This is what I do on the side. And so sometimes you get like, oh, really? Or you get the oh, or you can kind of see they just kind of lean back. So it's like, okay, that's not their cup of tea. So then you have to cut it off at that point. Um, and so it's happening. And I've done it too, where I probably pushed it just a little too much and spit it out a little too early. And I've caused people that don't want to be around me at all anymore. So that's really interesting, especially it's weird. All these great conversations, and then I let something slip a little bit about, doing paranormal, doing, mediumship and stuff. And then all of a sudden now these people just will say, hey, I'm like, yep, I screwed that one up. So that's just something that it happens. And so I just have to be, careful about it. But and I understand it. You can scare people off with this stuff, which is why you just don't go up to people and barge in on them because you could really mess things up. Um, let me go back down. Margaret saying, okay, so I know I'm trying to catch up again. Margaret, do you ever get messages spontaneously? Well, here at home, typically no. As far as messages from um other spirits, my guides and stuff, sure, they'll throw some information out there, hey, and okay, just like some of you weren't here at the beginning of the show, but as the countdown was happening, angel feather flew down right in front of me. So I'm literally watching the countdown and I grabbed this and I was holding the feather in the beginning. So if you watch the first, get to like the minute and a half mark or 2 minute mark, you'll see me trying to hold the feather up to the camera. So it's just things like that. Um, in public, I try to, especially at work, I try to keep everything as shut down as possible. Now, when you're an empath, you'll never get away from the energies that people give out. You know what I mean? So you could walk past somebody and be like, wow, they're pissed off, but they don't look pissed off, but they are. Or they're emotional, even though they're not crying, but they're emotional. You feel it. So when you truly have opened up to the empath way, you can't shut the energy stuff down. That's not going to happen. So that one I can't turn off. But telling spirits to back off, now's not the time because like what has been, granted, there's been a few times this year that I have, or over the last year and like 2-3 months, I've had like 3 1/2 message quick readings, and something real low. There's more fingers on my hand than how many times I've done that, but not full readings. I just like a quick message or two, and that's it. Because I just didn't want to chance it, and somebody was really desperate for one single message. So, and so I did it. Uh, but yeah, I mean, so most of the time I block it. Now, if I drop the wall down, then and I'm ready for it, then I can get some more messages. So yeah, I could be like out in public and I can keep it all opened with careful guidance too, because just get everything. That's why I used to hate when I first started doing this. So I hated going to grocery stores because I was always open for that and I just got obliterated. And that sucks. So I eventually had to figure out how to keep the wall up and only lower it when I needed it to. Let's see real quick. Okay, I'm just reading through. Sorry, I'm not going to read them all. Okay. But yeah, so and then that's like I said, that's kind of where we're going to is watch out for the ones that are boasting about those. Now, it's different when you're trying to market yourself, so that way, you get your name out there because obviously, word of mouth helps, but obviously, like in these situations where social media is kind of one of those ways to help expand and get you out there for others to um, consider. But it's the ones that truly just make a big show out of it. You know what I mean? Like you make me want, doesn't mean you can't do this, but it makes me judge you a little bit more when you're sitting there boasting about it. I mean, think about it. You guys, even with me, do I boast about what I do? I mean, I share stories of what things that have happened. Um, but that's not boasting about it. That's just, giving you some information. So if you were to consider getting a reading from me, this isn't just, some little, fun, game on. I truly do this, with so much love and passion to share these messages with you because it can do wonders for you in the end. And those that have gotten readings from me, I know feel that way. And so, it's one of those things that I am not going to sit there and every day being like, look at me, I am a medium, and you got to get readings from me and nobody else. Yeah, that sounds really good, Now, granted, that's not the same verbiage as some of them, but you can hear it. You can kind of sense it when you see that's what they're doing. And I, it is what it is. It's damaging to like I said, to those of us that love doing this and that we have a true passion and willing to help. And we're not here to completely suck you dry of money either. You know, uh, that's a thing that I love when you hear it from skeptics and stuff. Is like, oh, they just, it's all about the money. It's all about the money. Well, you know what? We need something. Don't get me wrong. And just being honest, um, we did take time to spend with you at this thing. And it's, you're asking a service just like anything else. You want somebody to cut your grass because you can't, you're paying somebody to cut the grass. You know what I mean? And so it's, it is tough, you know. Could I do things for free all the time? Absolutely. Could I? Right. Unfortunately, there is an unfortunate. Um, the opening up to free or cheap, rates, open the doors to a lot of issues with new clients. And I hate to put it that way. There's a abusive thing, abuse of there's an abuse back towards the reader. I guess you could put it that way. And it's a tough one. And so when you see some readers and their prices start to go up, there really is a point where it shouldn't go anymore. But it's also really comical when I see some that their prices are so outrageous that they're more than like somebody coming working on your plumbing or something, working on your electrical or that's blows my mind. And I mean, you think about it, you got to find a middle ground when you do that stuff. But at the same time, you want to get rid of the ones that are going to be abusive towards you. And I mean that as best I can because you get into verbal, well, at least, like let's say if it's me, I'm not going to be verbally arguing back, but it's certainly, I've been hit with a ton of it. And I realized that once you raise your price up enough to get it away from those, then they leave you alone and you don't have to take that abuse. Because it sucks. It sucks. Um, and so that's another reason why some of them they'll bump it up to a certain point because they're trying to avoid the issues that happen when you're really dirt cheap and offering, which is fine. I mean, you know, you can cut deals and things like that, or do you can barter, or you can do some exchanges of things too. I've done that, given a reading for somebody and gotten something back, whether it was an object, or collectible thing or something, or something they offer. Maybe they do some type of holistic service. So I've done that, and that's completely fine. There's nothing wrong in that. But yeah, but like I said, you got to watch out for the ones that are just, you know, making, making what we do, those that are really truly into this and where we're not, we have the money set so that way we can keep away from the riffraff and um and yet we still have it enough where people feel like they still are going to get something out of it. And I've always said too that, you know my guarantee was if we sit down and we don't get anything, we get to reschedule it, so that way you don't feel like you literally lost money on anything. So I will reschedule and we will make something happen. Um, it's also nice, like, for me that I can go and go to, like, so if I can't do, like, if the readings aren't happening, sometimes, they're willing to just I'll just pull cards for them, and we can go through life that way, and so then they still feel like they're getting something out of it too. So I'm glad that I can do cards and offer that up, which is, helpful, because then they feel like, yes, they didn't make a mistake, and they didn't feel like they just dropped all kinds of money too. Let me go back up real quick because I saw Michelle was saying, I don't get info until I flip my closed sign open. I'm very firm about boundaries. My guides are pretty good about respecting that. They will communicate. Like you said, I don't have random spirits showing up talking to me. That's cool. And that's great that you have that wall, because it is important to keeps you safe. Um, Michelle was saying that's a tie that never goes away. My dad, you need to wear a cape when you do. I know, it can be like a superhero thing for sure. Dennis says, I remember your reading you gave my mom and my real grandma come through, and that was causing me to have a headache, and I doubled over. You had to back her up. Yeah, I do remember that, man. I do. Yeah. Della, my mom and I are a medium. She never charged, but my old friend told my friend he's going to get remarried, have another mother child, and move out to Missouri. He lives in Arkansas as a daughter. Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't, you don't have to, like I said, the money thing it is that kind of exchange. Now, don't get me wrong, is like, if you think about when we went back to when all this stuff truly started, there actually was an exchange, just like I just said. You can do an exchange of services. Um, Mediums and shamans in particular, um, a lot of their stuff was like, I'll give you this information, and then what they usually the recipient was, they offered them food, or they, did whatever the case was, they would help out or help build their home or something like that. So there is that exchange. So that's what happened. So there was always it's a universal thing of where everybody's providing for each other, instead of it just always necessarily being one way. So even when you pay a reader or healer, you know, you're basically giving that little bit of piece back. You know what I mean? And yes, it is monetary. Um, but even then, like for me, if there's a cool exchange out of it, I mean, I'm down, I mean, I'm down. I mean, it doesn't have to, I mean, the money's great. And like Amber was saying earlier, it definitely pays for some coffee. Absolutely. But like I said, it does pay for our time. And again, it is a nice thing to where you can help each other out. So I'm going to help you and you can help me. And granted, like I said, money nowadays is one of the easiest things, but doesn't mean you can't do some other type of exchanges, or, maybe you're a crafty person and you can craft something for that said person. So, it's just things like that. My dad's saying, change your name to Medium Man. Well, Della says she didn't charge him. He was my friend. Right. Yeah. And sometimes too close friends. Like I will, excuse me, I will certainly, sit down and do a couple messages for somebody for just because, maybe I got a good vibe from them and I feel like, maybe there might be some good information or just a couple little things. And if they're into it too, so like, if we're at, uh, an event where maybe I'm not necessarily doing anything for it, I'm just hanging out, quick little thing on the side. Yeah, it's all good. And I do, but even then, once I get back into the swing of things, I do readings, lives. I pull cards live. So look at all that stuff that I do provide for free. And that's why I said sometimes people would be shocked if they were to know. I mean, granted, I haven't done much. I haven't done much in over a year, but even then, all the previous years leading up to it, let's just put it this way. I wasn't making enough to where even like there was not enough for even taxes, to show you how much free stuff I was doing in the end. So it's pretty rough when you when you can be like, you're not even breaking enough to pay taxes on it, because you're just literally taking change is really what it comes down to. So that's how I work. And so when others take advantage of it like that, it's disheartening, to see that, you know they're truly trying to steal, everything from you. And holy smokes, I mean, you ever come across somebody that's wanting hundreds and hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars to get rid of a ghost in your house, walk someplace else. I mean, or come to me and I will certainly do what I can if I'm available, or I will get you in somebody that I trust that is not going to burn you in something like that. Cause that's terrible. And that's the thing that kills me is anytime those stories pop up in the news where, some psychic medium, steals thousands from somebody. And I'm like, I mean, it stinks because it just puts so much, bad light on us, and it's terrible. But I guess that's just one of those things that I want people to just be a little bit more aware. And if you're seeing people thumping their chest a little bit, it's probably, it doesn't mean you can't be, friendly with them, and doesn't mean you have to even ignore them or anything or walk past them. But um, you know, maybe getting a reading or healing, whatever the case may be, it's probably not worth it, in you know like I said, I give everybody, props that, want to do this. I just think there's just moments where people take much advantage over it. um it just takes away from the true nature of what it's supposed to be in the end. So that's the same, we all do paranormal investigations for free. Exactly, Dessa. I mean, there is never supposed to be a single penny. And don't get me wrong. I mean, over the years, whether that's the team I'm on, or sometimes I've done, do solo ones in the past, they've offered to pay. And I'm like, that's not what this is for. This isn't paid. Well, how about gas money? And it's like, I have fought hard over saying no, and sometimes they just still give you a couple bucks, and it's like, it's nice. Don't get me wrong. You're not being ungrateful, but at the same time, you're just trying to show this is not what this is for, just trying to help is the important thing. And can we get you the help? Because obviously, if you think about it, if you go in, fictional. So you have a team and you go in there and they got ghosts and whatever, and it's really bad. And you say you're going to help them, and yet you charge and you don't help them and you make it a lot worse. Eh. So at least when it's free, it doesn't mean that you're not, you still can go back and figure out why, if you were trying to get rid of things or what, you still don't understand the root cause of why they're doing this. So, it opens that door to where you can keep going back and make them feel comfortable about still using you. Because if you just drop a bunch of money and you get nothing out of it, where it just makes, the activity 10 times worse. I mean, that's not cool. And that does happen. That does happen. Unfortunately, see it all the time, in social media. You see people, teams, they just don't know what they're doing because they just watched a few episodes on TV and think that they can emulate it. You shouldn't get into things if you don't, you got to get around people that have been doing this for a while, and you got to get, stuff under, because if you truly want to help, you got to remember social media nowadays, you do something bad or wrong, people are going to know about it and they're going to call you out, because there's a lot of people that don't care. They will call you out and they will drag you through the mud because, you're really doing bad things. You're not helping, and that's the whole point, whether you're doing this for research or where you're truly trying to help out a homeowner figure things out. You've got to have some, stuff. And I'm okay with people learning, but don't be sitting there thinking that you're the only person or team that can do this, because I think we've all seen it. We know some people that probably have been a little bit sketchy, and it's like, but it's a shame. So, but I know we're over 5 minutes, but I just, again, just want you guys to just be careful that if you're out and about, or if you're looking through social media and you're seeing others that are, claiming to be things, you do your homework, do your research on them, feel them out. And if it doesn't feel right, then that's it. You got to keep going, but you just got to be careful that you're then not taking advantage of, or even then getting with somebody that really just doesn't have any clue how it works and does it. Like I said, am I the greatest medium of all time? Hell no. I'm I I wouldn't even put that even in a category, you know? I mean, I try to keep all that ego and that feelings of like I'm the best. You can't, because then that stuff comes back to bite you, and that's a whole karma thing. I like karma. I want it to work for me, you know. So you ain't gonna see me. And the only time if I ever do anything, you'll clearly know I'm joking about it. Like earlier when I was like, you're gonna know 100% joking, but you're never gonna hear me sitting there, begging and saying I'm better than this person and I can do this. You're never gonna see me do that. You're never gonna see me do that. And you have to be humbled to do this because it can be taken away at any moment, and it probably will. Some of these that are really abusing things, that's gonna get taken away from. It's just a matter of time. The clock's ticking on them. You know, so be careful. Be careful that when you come across these type, and that way you're not in a situation where your bank account's drained, or you just don't get anything out of it. At least I can be honest. Hey, just not getting it, or I'm not feeling it today, because I've canceled and rescheduled readings and healings, quite a bit over the years. If it's not right, you, the person that's receiving it, appreciate it more. Yeah, you were really hoping it was going to happen today, but at the same time, it's going to happen. You just need to, it's just going to take another few days, or whatever the case may be. So don't get me wrong. Don't think that I'm not feeling crappy about it too. I think I probably feel worse than you guys do. Whenever I've had to cancel or reschedule, oh man, it just like, then I'm beating myself up for the rest of the day going, why? But at the same time, I then am understanding of it that, not everything was aligned for that moment. So then I'm like, it's cool, and you let it go, but there's still that compassion. So, Della saying, I feel like you're a very good person. I'm glad we were favorite. Absolutely, Della. And that's the thing is you gotta, and I'm, like I said, I'm not going to be somebody's favorite. You know what I mean? I'm going to try to wrap up real quickly here. I'm not trying to be, something I'm not. I'm trying to be as upfront and genuine as I possibly can. Uh, you know, yeah, I mean, I'm stubborn on a lot of things, when it comes to asking for help. We know that. Most of you that have been following me for a while know that I I have a hard time saying I need some help. So still still trying to work on that. It's happening. It's just, but um but I do the best I can to be upfront about things. Obviously sometimes then there really is some super personal things that are just not public worthy. So, I got to keep some things to myself in general, because it's just not something that everybody needs to know about. Granted, that's smaller things, but at the same time, I get to have a life too, just like you guys do. And, some things are just not meant for public, and that's just the way it is. So, but overall, I try to share and explain as best I can for, how I'm doing, what I'm going through, um, you know, uh, but also at the same time, not feel like, woe is me. you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. I wish I was doing all this stuff, and I'm pushing for it. I would love to be doing readings and doing more shows, and getting to events more often. It's just, I'm just taking my time to figure things out, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I still want to do all these things. And so I'm just got to ride the train. I got to ride this train and see what happens. Um, let's see. Um, Thanks, Margaret. Parafamily, Della. I like when everyone to parafamily that me. Yep. Dessa saying stuff doesn't always happen when we want it to. Right, Dessa? Yeah. I mean, you push for it. You hope that it's going to be that way, and then just sometimes it doesn't. So, Della saying, ask Chris and Phil of how I am with very good. That's cool, Della. Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm good. Yeah, I'm real good friends with those guys. So, but yeah, no. So yeah, and again, one more time, be careful. Don't push these people that are really over the top. It's definitely not going to be a good situation. And again, I'm not taking away that they can't do these things by any means. I would never say that. I'm sure they can. I mean, granted, you still have some that are completely 100% fake and can't do this at all. And they're just they're trying to steal information that you slip out by chance, because a lot of times I have said, don't tell me that, don't tell me that, or don't share that. If I'm telling you don't say something, that's a serious reason for it, because, that could easily be interpreted like you're giving me this stuff and then I can expand on it, which, that's how the real fakers do it. So, let's see, Chris, um, I told Chris I cry in front of them and they're yeah, no, that's yeah, Del. I mean, when you have good friends, and you can lean on them like that and you can get the emotions out, that goes a long way. So Debbie, have a great weekend. Hey, Dinah, happy birthday, by the way. I know I'm just literally wrapping up right now. So I did see that it was your birthday today. So happy birthday to you. But yeah, I'm literally like seconds away from finishing. So because I got to get going. I got to do a little bit of a family thing here in a little bit for a couple hours, and then hopefully by dinner time I'll be home and then be chilling out for the rest of the weekend. So yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. A lot of you that have been able to continue to watch when I am, I'm on, helps me out. It's nice to see you all. I appreciate you commenting, and staying active, because that's the whole point of this, is to, do this morning show is all about that, where we're kind of talking through things and learning things together. So it means a lot to see that. And I hope you guys stay dry today. For those of us that are in the storm areas, so let's all stay dry and have a great weekend. Definitely going to be, a lot more post. Hopefully, as the week goes on. Obviously, the 4th of July. So I mean, I will post about that anyway. But in case you don't see any more posts from me, meaning like you don't catch them by chance, happy 4th of July to all of those here in the States. I know that we have I have people watching from other countries as well. Del, you can always, anybody can message me at any point in time. Just bear with me. That the one thing, again, as I'm trying to finish up, the one thing I will say is that I used to have a lot more time during the day to reply to messages. It has become extremely difficult now, because of the fact, with my managerial job, my time has gotten really pulled. So if you send a message, just like really, like always, bear with me. I will get back to you. And if you don't hear anything, at least a week out, a week from the point you sent it, don't be don't be mean. Just say, hey, you didn't respond back to me. I had a question. It won't be intentional. It's just the fact that during the day I can be so busy, and hopefully next week will be a little bit easier. It's supposed to be. So, but just to keep in mind for those that are still here watching or watching this back, if you do message me, just understand I might not be able to get back as quickly as I used to be anymore. So, anyway, so Veronica, have a great weekend. Happy 4th. So yes, thank you guys again so much for hanging out, commenting. I love you. It means the world. So with that said, you guys have been watching the Mid-Morning Medium Chat with Adam the Black Swamp Medium. Thanks again. And as always, all my love, light, and peace to each and every single one of you. And I will see you guys again very soon. Take care.